Welcome to Living the Keys, a series devoted to bringing the wisdom and teachings of the Gene Keys to life. Each week, we'll explore the shadow and gift of a different gene key, allowing you to uncover the hidden patterns that are shaping your reality and the higher purpose and potential that is waiting to be expressed through you. Whether you're new to the Gene Keys or you're an avid explorer of this powerful and transformative system of self-discovery, this is an invitation to embody and integrate these teachings into your relationships, your work, and your everyday life. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of Living the Keys. My name is Christopher August, and it is an honor to be joined with you here today. In this episode, we are going to dive into the essence and the teaching of the second gene key. This is the Shadow of Dislocation, the gift of orientation, and the Siddhi of Unity. Now, if you are new to the gene keys and you are ready to dive in, the first step would be to download your free Gene Keys profile, which you can do so with the link right below this video. And beyond that, if you want to dive deeper into what the Gene Keys are, how to read your profile, and so much more, I also have linked my free Gene Keys intro series. Now, whether you have this gene key, the second gene key in your profile or not, it does not matter because all 64 keys, all 64 archetypes live within us. Now, the second gene key, this really carries the essence, the archetype of the divine feminine. And when I say divine feminine, I'm not speaking to gender. I'm not speaking to male or female. I'm speaking to the feminine principle that exists within us. And the divine feminine, the entire journey through the feminine is a journey through surrender, a journey through trust, through receptivity, through allowance, through openness, through intuition, through wisdom. This is the divine feminine. And we as a society have been completely disconnected and cut off from the feminine. And I have discussed this in other videos, but really what I believe to be the core wound of this entire world is a disconnection from the feminine. And by oppressing the feminine nature within us, we have this hyper shadow masculine state in which we are acting out through busyness, through control, through domination, through greed, through destruction, through violence, through abuse. And we see this happening all over our planet. And really, this gene key is calling us back into balance, where we are both synced together in this harmonious way of the masculine and feminine merged within our own hearts. And so as we dive into this second gene key, it asks us a very important question. And that question is, can I trust life even when I cannot see where it is leading me? Can I trust life even when I cannot see where it is leading me? And the reason this is an important question, because at the shadow frequency, we have forgotten ourselves as it pertains to our existence within this whole. We have believed ourselves to be separate. We have believed in the illusion of separation, that we have forgotten our true nature. And when we are in this state of forgetfulness, which is a part of this duality of this dream that we're all in, that we incarnate into this human realm, and we incarnate with a sense of amnesia where we forget our true self, or we forget our true connection to the divine. And so when we believe in this separateness, we begin to control life. We begin to try, force, effort. And this actually separates us even more because we are not trusting in the flow of life. And I can relate to this so profoundly. And this has been a deep journey within me to come back to that state of trust, because really at the core of all of this, beyond the disconnection from the feminine, it's a fear of the unknown. It's a fear of the void. And so what do we do when we are in this fear? We are keeping ourselves distracted and busy all of the time. And we can see this running rampant within society all over the world. The pace of Western society and the movement and how fast we are all the time, not giving space to listen and to receive life itself. And it is through all of this that we are being asked to honor that divine feminine that exists within all of us, to create that deeper relationship with our bodies, with the earth, so that we can come into a state of orientation. Now, this shadow expresses itself in many different ways. And as I've already shared here, but beyond what I've already shared, it can manifest as feeling lost, directionless, confused. We collapse into a state of victimization in which we believe that life is happening to us rather than moving through us. And we try to overcome this fear of uncertainty, this fear of the unknown, this fear of the void through excessive structure and control. We become rigid about how life should unfold, believing that it should move to our plans rather than flowing and opening ourselves into the intelligence that is all around us, that exists within us and our own inner knowing. So, what I would like to do now is just to take a moment and really take in the words of Richard Rudd. Richard is the founder and the creator of the Gene Keys, and really help us to sink just a little bit deeper into the shadow of this second Gene Key. And you can get your copy of the Gene Keys book, which is just really my Bible. It's incredible the transmissions that are in here and the magic that you can find through reading through these keys. And if you feel called while I read, you may want to close your eyes. If you're not operating a motor vehicle, that is, and you are still, you may want to close your eyes just to really feel into these words. Most Aboriginal cultures do not live with the sense of separation from life itself. So, us modern human beings are often left with the sense that we have somehow gone adrift. We tend to think that there is something wrong with the direction that we have taken. And this is exemplified by the massive technological revolution that is sweeping through this planet. The fear that we are going in a bad direction comes from the second shadow. It is because we now see ourselves as separate from nature that we feel this great collective fear. Our perception dislocates us from the truth. This collective fear pervades our individual lives as well. The second shadow, along with its programming partner, the first shadow of entropy, pulls us away from living in a state of trust and connectedness, and also reinforces this sense of isolation through our actions. In your personal life, if you allow it, the second shadow will affect every decision you make, pulling you into an interference frequency. This means that you don't appear to be in the synchronicity with life. So you miss opportunities that would serve you and end up in a repetitive pattern that can be very draining for all concerned. At this shadow frequency, the masculine always comes first, which becomes the way of distrust, separation, and force. The feminine approach, however, is based on unity, surrender, and trust, which are the hallmarks of all higher frequencies. To move in harmony with this field of the second gene key is to be orientated, and to move out of harmony with the field is to be disorientated or dislocated. Now, there are some pretty profound words shared here. And perhaps even right now, you want to feel into your relationship with the shadow of this second gene key. Where in your life have you felt lost, disconnected, or dislocated? Where are you forcing an answer because uncertainty makes you feel safe? Where are you controlling life? True healing, true transformation really starts with self honesty. And so just begin to ask or perhaps even journal about these questions and contemplate how this shadow perhaps is showing up in your own life. Okay, let's move into the gift, the gift frequency of the second gene key. Now, the gift is the gift of orientation. And orientation really begins by returning back to our body, returning back to our feeling state, returning back within ourselves. That this is a recovery of our own inner wisdom, inner compass, inner guidance. And really, for most of us, we have been conditioned out of feeling. We have been conditioned out of actually creating a deeper relationship with our body. And by doing so, we are coming into a deeper level of trust of ourselves. And we are beginning to allow life, to let life in, to breathe life in, to open our heart to life, because we have been so closed down for so long, that we have been so conditioned to shut ourselves down rather than open ourselves to the process, to open ourselves to the journey, and to let the water flow. Instead of fighting against the current, we flow with the river, and we allow this intelligence to guide us. And the first really important part of this is to actually learn how to listen, how to take space, to do nothing, to just be. And it is from all being that we can start doing. Yet in this modern world, all of what we see is the doing comes before the being. And we are not human doings, we are human beings. And by stepping into a state of being each and every day, by pausing, by taking intentional time to just pause, to breathe, to feel, to meditate, to contemplate, this is where we come into a greater state of orientation with life. And by listening, we then receive what it is we actually need to then do. We take inspired action from a state of aliveness, from this state of joy, from this state of connection. And we begin to receive the currents of life and love moving through us. And we come into deeper acceptance of our present moment. Really, if we think about it, how much of our life is actually going against the current, is resisting what life is showing us and presenting to us, believing that we have all of these problems, believing that we have all of these issues, that when we can actually then give up our resistance and trying to stop fixing life, that actually we invite in so much magic, mysticism, synchronicity, serendipity. All of this happens when we can let go of the steering wheel just a little bit, to stop trying, to stop forcing, to stop controlling. And we develop this deeper intimacy with the unknown. And I love the connection to this, because in Gene Key 43, it's almost very similar in the sense that we get curious about the unknown. And we exist in a state of not knowing, but trusting that we are being guided every step of the way. This is the gift of orientation. And so, once again, I feel called to read a passage or two from this gift inside of the Gene Keys book. And this gift is so beautiful because when we can truly exist within it, we become a very magnetic individual. We begin to attract and magnetize really powerful experiences into our life. So it says here, as the frequency through the second gift rises, you live more in a state of harmony and the electromagnetic power of your aura increases. The more you let go into the feminine, yielding quality of this gift, the more universal power floods through you. Your timing becomes more and more fine tuned, so much so that if you find yourself out of harmony, the magnetic mineral transducers in your body immediately convey this to your brain. It is through the second gift that you can see the hidden agenda of life, to bring all beings into awareness of their unity. The magnetic attractor field around a person who is centered in the second gift exerts a powerful effect on those all around it, meaning that harmony is catching. This is why people who are deeply surrendered and attuned to life's processes can be so empowering. They can intuitively sense how surrendered or resistant others are to the great truth of their universality. Over time, such people bring others into their own personal harmony through the magnetic power of their aura. So, again, just to restate here, as you trust life, as you come into greater connection with that feminine principle within yourself, as you learn how to receive life, your auric field, your electromagnetic field grows so strongly. And this is all living life from the heart, and the heart is incredibly powerful, and we have seen so much beautiful research come out on this. And you can look at heart math or any of the other research that has been done around the power of the electromagnetic frequency that is emitted from the heart. When we are in fear, that frequency is much lower. When we are in love, when we are in trust, when we are in surrender, when we are able to really flow into life, that frequency rises. And so, really, this key, this gift of the second key, asks some questions. Can I trust life before I understand where it is taking me? What is my relationship to trust? What feels so alive for me right now? And you might want to even consider creating a practice. Think about the things that make you feel safe, the things that help you feel relaxed. Perhaps it's taking a walk in nature. Perhaps it's doing some yoga. Perhaps it's doing some breath work, some meditation. Whatever makes you feel safe and relaxed, those are the things you want to be doing more of, because this creates that deeper level of connection within you. Because when you feel safe and relaxed, you will naturally feel more open, you will feel more present, and you will feel more connected to yourself. This is precisely why I facilitate breath work and have done so for over a decade now, because it's a foundational tool. The breath is the way into ourselves, into this place of safety, coherence, calm, centeredness, relaxation, where we open our intuition, where we open ourselves to life. We let down all of the control, all of the barriers, the blocks that have been in the way from us actually surrendering to life. And so when you begin to do these things, this is where you can begin to come into greater alignment of this second gift orientation. Now, if you watch my first video or you watch any of the other videos, I don't go too much into the cities. So really the whole journey of the gene keys is to transform our shadows into gifts, our darkness into light, our pain into purpose, our wounds into wisdom. This is the journey of the keys. The cities are our highest emanation. It's a state of enlightenment, high consciousness. It doesn't mean that we'll never reach those frequencies, but these are what exist in the higher fields. And really, unity is the realization of unity, that we are all one. that we are not moving through life alone, but life is moving through us, that the universe is born through us, that there is no separate self, and that we are fully, totally relaxed into the greater divine intelligence. And so everything from that shadow completely falls away. And this is perhaps even a peak state that you may touch from time to time. Breath can very much support you in experiencing this sense of unity, even some plant medicines. There are ways, meditation, nature, in which we can begin to touch the sense of unity and know that we are not a separate being, but we are all connected. So I hope you enjoyed this transmission on the second gene key. And I would love to hear from you. Drop in the comments below your thoughts, your reflections, your contemplations on what you experienced today through this transmission. And for those of you guys that want to go deeper into the gene keys, into the exploration of your personal profile, inside of my community, the Mastery Collective, every single month, we are diving in as a group, as a collective on these calls, these Gene Keys activation calls, where we are exploring all the spheres of your profile. And this is really a way to deepen into a greater level of understanding of who we are and why we're here. It allows us to tap into and become that sovereign self-sourced being where we are experiencing that love, that abundance, that freedom, that joy, that happiness from the inside out. And the Gene Keys is such a beautiful way to really understand our soul's blueprint and really the core of why we are here in this lifetime. So for those of you that want to dive in with me, you definitely want to go check that out. The link is below, the Mastery Collective. And as a bonus, I provide breathwork sessions, 15-minute breathwork sessions based on the gift of every single key. This is a way for you to breathe into and activate the power of these keys that are within your own DNA and the latent potential that exists within you. So for those of you guys that want to dive in and journey with me and so many incredible individuals, make sure you go below this video, click that link, and I will see you inside of the collective. And until next time, sending you positive energy, much love, peace.